What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to my vlog-ish. There are a bunch of different ways I thought about handling this particular video, but for now, I think I'm going to talk about how we as Christians tend to not be great at putting God first. There are many multiple things that some of us will put ahead of God in our lives. Whether we care more about how much money we have, or we care more about our careers than about our spiritual lives. There's a whole bunch of things that we can sometimes put before God in our lives. But really, given recent events, I feel like I have to mention just the ridiculousness that is our political scene right now, and the fact that so many of us seem to be up in arms over people taking a knee or whatever during the national anthem. And especially for us as Christians, it just seems like kind of a ludicrous idea that we would be so ridiculously upset about this, because our loyalty is not to our country first. I don't care what our president says. He might want to put America first. And I agree that America, we need to spend a little more time focusing on problems in the US and not as much on other countries' affairs. Because basically, we've been butting into too many other countries' business, and now it's coming back to haunt us in some ways. And I really think we need to stop that for fear of it getting worse. But anyway, I agree that, yes, we have our own problems in the US that we need to be a little more concerned with than some of us are. However, as Christians, our loyalty is to God first. Not our country, God. So, just the fact that we would alienate other people who are, for the most part, really just trying to raise awareness about injustice within our country over some stupid little act that really, what does it even matter in the grand scheme of things? And, I don't know. I don't get it. How is somebody supposed to protest something without getting massive outcry for it? You can't these days. And that's the problem with our us versus them political mentality. And, to those who are saying that you're shaming veterans by not standing for the anthem and just all these different things, I don't want to bring disrespect to people, sure, but at the same time, how is somebody supposed to bring about awareness of an issue in this day and age when anybody, in order to get attention to anything, something has to go viral, and you gotta have a big demonstration these days for anything to go viral, because everything goes viral, and then, nobody really even cares about it. It's just, I don't know. It's a crazy world that we live in. But, anyway, when it comes to the whole putting our country first, yeah, sure, from a political perspective, there are plenty of minute details on particular issues that I'm not trying to give any best approach speech here on what I think is the best way to handle all this kind of stuff. But I just don't think we should be casting out people who are merely trying to stand up for the other people around them that have been hurt by injustice just over one little action. I feel like as Christians, we should care more about the people within our country than about some notion of patriotism and whether or not you're respecting the flag. Technically speaking, there are so many things that we have done with the American flag that are technically, like, even from a legal standpoint, disrespecting the flag. For example, the American flag is not supposed to be used as any kind of apparel or as like a decorative design on anything that is designed to be throwaway, such as paper plates. And there's all sorts of other examples along that vein that we do all the time. So if you're worried about people disrespecting the flag by taking a knee or by staying in the locker room during a game or something like that, then you're bringing up a false argument for trying to care about something that you probably really don't. Because how many of us actually say, oh, those paper plates are bad because they have the American flag on them. You should not be buying those so they don't get made anymore. No, nobody does that kind of crap. Going back to the main issue at hand, we seem to be in this phase in the US where, like, you pretty much can't come across as disrespecting anything even remotely viewed as patriotic. We seem to be pushing people away just for some kind of vague idea of patriotism. Whereas as Christians, we should be welcoming people in and, showing them God's love, showing them, that there's somebody who's willing to stand up for them when there is injustice in the world. And especially within our own country. I don't really mind putting America first if we're, taking that as kind of a call to care about the people within the country, rather than what a lot of people seem to be doing with, like, pretty much putting their view of patriotism up there and saying we should be caring more about this and being loyal to our country. I get that there's a certain level of respect that you should have for your country and for, the government system and just all that kind of stuff, especially in a country like this where we have all sorts of great opportunities. But that doesn't excuse us from putting our patriotic ideals before our mission and calling from God to build the kingdom. And you can't build the kingdom when you're just alienating people over some really tiny little thing that, in the grand scheme of eternity, what the heck does it matter? Like, really, who gives a crap if some people are not standing for the national anthem over the scope of all of humanity? Like, really? Just kind of zooming back out to the wider issue of putting things before God. As I mentioned before, a lot of us have a habit of putting things like, say, money before God. We care more about our financial security sometimes than we do about actually following God. And look, I'll admit I'm not one to just willy-nilly give my money away all over the place, because that's not necessarily a great strategy either. But really, the main reason that, the main reason I try to be financially stable and I'm trying to, pay off my student loans and my car loan and that kind of stuff is so that then I can have the financial freedom at some hopefully near future point to give more and to, help others more from a financial standpoint. But it's not a wise investment to put a whole lot of money into helping other people when I have debt myself that I need to take care of. But there's a difference between that and being so obsessed with gaining money that you stop caring about other people, that you put your business before your family, that you go to all these great lengths and like cut all these corners and backstab other people and just do whatever you can to climb to the top of the corporate ladder, so to speak. Like, that's not falling in line with what God wants us to do, how God wants us to interact with the people around us. I have a hard time, just kind of sitting there and being okay with people who call themselves Christians, who are raking in these millions and millions of dollars and not giving that to help other people or for something more beneficial than themselves. So there's another example, and the whole job career thing is kind of intertwined with that a lot of times, and there are plenty of other things that sometimes we will put before God. But again, just given recent issues, I felt like I needed to take some time to focus a little more specifically on like the political realm, on that particular standpoint and issue that's been going on. So, really, again, big point is there are a lot of us that need to make sure we're putting God first in our lives and doing what God wants us to do before we worry about, how much money we're making or about whether or not people are respecting our country or what have you. As Christians, people who are, followers of Christ, who are trying to do God's work in this world, we shouldn't be putting other priorities ahead of that. Like, God really should be the only priority in our lives. So we really need to start acting more like it sometimes. Anyway, that pretty much covers everything I had to say about this. As always, like and share if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to my channel, click the bell button, check the box to get notifications. And then you can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you want to keep up with my videos there. I'm active on those as well. And you can follow me on Instagram as well. I post some stuff on there occasionally. All that information is going to be down in the description. Feel free to take a look at that. And then leave comments with your thoughts on this topic, other topics, anything like that that comes to your mind. So, as always, I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Stay cool, people.